What if the Joker were to die? This is the Comicstorian channel where I take your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is the full story series here at Comicstorian, where we take videos that came out over the course of multiple months, combine them into an epic storyline for you. Today is Batman Damned, one of the first Black Label books which tells the story of what if the Joker died and what if the Joker could survive beyond death. It's a bit of a shorter story as it only contained 3 issues, but it is a good one, and I wanted to give you guys that full story, so here we go. The heart machine beeps gently, noting the slow heart rate. Lights flash by outside, illuminating Batman laying on a gurney, blood seeping from the wound in his gut. The paramedics are moving fast, one of them pulling out a pair of surgical scissors. "You think I should? I mean, there may be head trauma," he asks, looking down at the dark night. Pulse is skyrocketing. "You want to see who it is before everybody else does? You better," his friend tells him. The scissors move down and they begin to cut at the cowl that covers the vigilante's head, and he presses a little too deep and a bead of blood begins to seep out. "Shit," he whispers. Batman is up and moving fast, his hand lashing out, slamming the paramedic's head hard against the side of the ambulance. He backhands the other as the police officer that's with them fumbles for his pistol. "Batman, I'm on your side, don't!" he gasps, the weapon trembling. "Make me," Batman growls. He leaps forward and the two go sailing out of the back door, tumbling into the streets. He regains his feet, looking up into the night sky of his city, and he turns, growling at the crowd that has begun to gather, pushing them back with fear. He dashes through the street, heading into the alleyway, but he's still bleeding, blood splattering against the pavement. He stumbles, falling into a pile of garbage, and he reaches for his radio, gasping, "Alfred, I need your help." Suddenly, he's falling, the Gotham Bridge overhead, and he hits the water hard. Hard enough that he should be dead. His back broken at least, but he's Batman. And he pushes up to the surface, gasping for air. On the shore, he can see them. "Bruce!" his mother calls out. "We're here, son. You're doing fine," his father tells him. But hands reach up from the depths, beginning to pull Batman beneath the water. And then he wakes up, back in the alley, his hand reaching for a figure coming towards him. "You're not Alfred," he whispers as the man lights a cigarette. "No, sir. Seems your butler took the night off." "Don't fret, old son. You're not alone," John Constantine tells him, taking a long drag. Batman is now a young boy again, playing on the merry-go-round, calling out to his parents, but his father is talking to a young woman and his mother does not look happy about it. Behind them, he sees a dark shape leaning out of the trees. "Me, Bruce, look at me," the little girl whispers in a dark voice. Fear begins to fill Bruce's eyes as he asks who she is. "I exist before and after all. I places, I have time. I at once. I am desire and fear of desire. I, your secret, Bruce. Will you be mine?" The world slows around them and people's faces stretch in time, and Bruce suddenly tumbles off the merry-go-round. "I can't!" He begins to scream, and Batman sits up in a seedy motel room bed. "Hold on!" he yells, sitting up, looking around the room, and he stares at the arcane symbols that are now covering the walls. His hand slides over his torso, feeling the stab wounds that nearly killed him. But his flesh is healed, his costume torn. "You need a friend," a voice calls out from the other side of the room. Batman steps to the door to find John Constantine enjoying a smoke and a drink. "Welcome back to the world of the living. Blanks to fill, I know. I'll do my part. Tal can carry the rest," he tells him, waving his hand towards the TV, and the reporters tell of a body pulled out of the water beneath the bridge. "I was at the bridge tonight," Batman whispers, the camera panning over the body that was pulled out of the water, telling Gotham that the decades of terror have finally ended as the face of the Joker is shown. "Joker, dead. Who's responsible?" "Ah, the question tattooed on every corpse. Seems the coppers haven't got a clue," John tells him. He turns to ask Batman a question, but the room is now empty and the window is now open. "Bloody hell," John whispers. Batman moves through the city, leaping from rooftop to rooftop, finding himself over the bridge, looking down on Commissioner Gordon and his men. They are working the crime scene, and a homeless man is standing amongst them, dressed in rags, a green trench coat, babbling mostly nonsense. It was a monster that done this. I seen him. Seen him with my own 2 eyes. Screaming and laughing, wet and cracking. The devil fell from heaven. The man seems to turn, looking up into the darkness where Batman waits. The devil is here in Gotham! The homeless man yells. Amen to that, Gordon whispers, turning to walk away from the crime scene. He lights his pipe, moving towards the car. And as he nears it, he sees the man in the window coming up behind him. Gordon turns, ready for anything, but the man continues to babble. I saw a murder, Commissioner Gordon! Why don't you believe me? He demands. Because I believe him, Gordon tells him, nodding over his shoulder. The man turns, seeing the dark night in the shadows, and he begins to run. Batman follows, gliding low to land with a hard smack on the pavement, but the man's fast. Faster than he should be. He leads Batman on a chase through the dark alleys of the city, leaping down into the aqueducts. He jumps over a wooden fence, and Batman growls at the chase, plowing through like a barbaric animal. He stops on the other side, staring at the darkened maw of the sewer tunnel. Mist and fog swirling, almost making a face that seems to whisper to him. I know what you did, it calls. Later, Batman is walking through the Batcave, pulling his uniform and armor from his body. Computer, run body scan, he orders. The computer begins to run down a list of his heart rate and measurements. Rescan for recent wounds or scar tissue. He orders it, and the computer begins to list off expected body trauma from his night of leaping through the city. Any evidence of multiple fatal stab wounds? Negative, the computer answers. Bruce walks through the cave nude, heading for the armory. He orders the computer to list and report the deaths on and near the Gotham Gate Bridge tonight. John Doe, found on the bridge. Current location, Gotham Morgue. John Doe, retrieved from river. Current location, unknown. It tells him, unable to elaborate further. Bruce passes over his other batsuit, stopping at his disguise shelf. Check again, he orders the computer. Maybe check your head. The voice calls out from the dark, and he turns, looking back at his suits. A suit is moving. It's the armored gauntlet reaching out for him. No! He screams, crumpling to the ground. No! He whispers again, but the suit doesn't move, and he is now alone in the dark. Bruce leads down on the ground, his hands out, begging for change. His disguise is complete and no one will recognize him now, and a few feet away, a young woman wearing fishnets and a top hat grifts a crowd, moving her 3 cards back and forth. Where's the queen? She finally asks, her mouth smiling. Middle, Bruce hoarsely calls from his spot. The crowd nods, pointing to the middle, but the young woman flips the cards and a jack is shown. The crowd moans, passing over their money. Hey, Batman, nice disguise, a voice calls out from behind Bruce. He turns to see a strange-looking man standing over him, when suddenly the man begins to shake as if his spirit is leaving his body. A woman is passing by, and she suddenly begins to tremble as well, and her skin becomes pale, showing the veins beneath it. Ah, much better. Now, as I was saying, she tells him with a smile, there's a conspiracy against you. Dark forces. Man, and if you don't see. But the woman suddenly stumbles over, trembling like the first man. Bruce watches as the spirit seems to pass into a dog, and the creature begins to growl, its eyes now blood red. He watches the dog run away, and finally he stands, moving towards the card grifter, asking her for help. Looking for a buddy of mine. Probably been here more than once. Worried about him. Wearing green. He's pale. Sick. This your friend? The woman asks, holding up a Joker card from her deck. Bruce is now in the manor, moonlight streaming in. His head begins to nod as the news buzzes on the nearby TV, when suddenly he's a little boy again, laying in his bed. He can hear his parents fighting, but most of the words are lost to him. Bruce, I know what you want, the girl calls to him, appearing in the shadows. He gets out of bed, walking towards her, fear flashing in his eyes, but she tells him not to be afraid. The little girl holds something up for Bruce, the body of a bat that she puts to his chest. Price high, tears, your tears, will you cry for me? She asks. In the manor, Bruce suddenly begins to wake up, clutching his chest where the girl placed the bat. He turns to the news again where the reporter speaks of a kidnapping, showing the Gothic church within the city. Later, Batman is walking up those church steps, pushing open the heavy front doors, allowing the moonlight to stream in. So a bat walks into a church, John calls from his seat in one of the pews. Is that supposed to be funny, Constantine? Batman asks, walking to the center aisle. Funny? Heavens no. Joker's dead. Or he isn't. Do you believe in the afterlife? He asks, motioning towards the front of the church. Batman stares at the image of Jesus on the cross. His face is pale, and a red smile splitting his lips. And across the wood, deep red ha-has cover the body. The heart rate continues to beat slower and slower. A bat, seemingly dead, pinned to a man's chest with surgical staples. And slowly it turns its head, beginning to glow as it opens up its mouth wide, fangs glistening in the dark. John Constantine looks down into the glow of Gotham City, lighting another cigarette from his perch on the church roof, and below them, police lights flash as the officers move about, locking down the crime scene. Batman and Constantine just found a corpse, pinned to a cross, with the trademark "ha ha ha" written all over it. But people have seemingly found the Joker's body. Police, busy. Won't do any good. They never do. Truth is, I pity them. The guns they carry might as well be mops. This world, been made a peep show. What a bloody mess it is that we make. What we, Constantine? Batman growls from his place amongst the gargoyles, and Constantine asks if Batman feels responsible for his city. What I feel is none of your business. Joker's alive. Yes, I realize we saw a corpse dragged out of the river, but we also saw an altar desecrated. There's more to this. More than meets the eye. Batman tells him as he stands, coming up behind the wizard. You know the cavern? John asks him, mentioning the name of the nightclub in the city. Bloke there. Might be some help. Or maybe not. Hard to read his odd whims. Getting a bit close, aren't you? John finally asks, glancing over his shoulder and wondering if Batman is thinking of throwing him off the ledge. I don't like you, Constantine. Batman begins taking John's cigarette and throwing it into the wind. Later, Batman stands outside the club, watching from the shadows as people enter. The sound of music and chanting can be heard from within, of a crowd being worked into a frenzy. Batman steps forward, leaving the bouncer unconscious on the pavement, and he walks down the stairs, journeying into the smoky haze and flashing lights of this strange sort of hell. The crowd parts, some with looks of fear on their face, others of disbelief and anger. The one who leads them, a bald, pierced brother Blood, leaps forward into the crowd, and the man spews words into Batman's face, spitting lyrics into the air. Finally, Batman has had enough, pulling the man close by his tank top. Enough! He hisses. Joker, a mutual friend has led me to believe that you know where he is. Batman growls, Blood staring at him for a moment. Here, he ain't, Blood tells him. And don't bullshit me, you ain't got no friends. Just dead ends. I know you be breaking the rules, but ain't none here, just whims, Blood tells him. Around them, the crowd has pulled free weapons, firearms, all aimed at Batman's face, and he almost smiles. Give the word and we'll shoot, right? Think twice, bright boy, given our proximity if you don't want to die. Batman begins, but Blood interrupts him as the weapons are suddenly turned, each one pointed at a different patron's head. I won't, but they will. Unseen, a spirit is floating through the air, passing into one of the clubgoers. The man smiles, placing his hand on Batman's shoulder. I got your back, he tells him. So Batman questions who that man is. It's me, a cult conspiracy against you, remember? It's cool. We gotta get out of this cellar, though. You can't be down here. Dead Man warns him. Stay out of this, Brad, Brother Blood hisses, when suddenly the whole building begins to shake and the sounds of explosions can be heard outside. Everyone turns running for the exit, and Batman stalks upstairs, staring into the burning skyline of his city. The crowd scatters as a woman approaches. Her hair is matted, her dress is torn. She comes forward, placing her hand against the bat symbol on his chest. Bruce be dead, never ever mourned. My tearless tell me, what be left? Does it belong to me? She asks, when suddenly she is gone in a puff of black smoke, and Batman stands once more against the crowd. Batman, snap out of it, we're under attack! This is some terrorist shit! Deadman yells at him. No, we're not, you're safe, I'm here. Batman tells him, and Deadman points into the sky where the bat signal is shining brightly. My God, Batman whispers, staring into the bright light that is stretching with a smile. He looks, seeing people waving for help and the burning buildings around them, and the two of them press forward, rushing through the building. But Deadman stumbles, and the body that he is possessing suddenly bursts into flames. Batman leaves him behind, yelling for the people in the building. Listen up, I'm here to get you out. I just need to know where you are, so make some noise. He yells, but no voices call out to the dark night. A fluttering in the flame causes Batman to turn, seeing someone run around a corner. He turns, running after them, and as he rounds that corner, he finds a deranged homeless man from earlier. Save me! I'm not the one who needs to be saved. I see through the bat. I hear your heart. I hear it cry, Judas! I know what you did. I know what you did! He cries. Do you? Batman growls, rushing forward. Tell me, he demands, knocking the man against the wall, but the building suddenly begins to collapse around them. Images of his childhood flash before his eyes. He sees his mother sitting with a private investigator, looking at photos, crying. Suddenly, Batman is back, with Brother Blood pulling charred wood off of him, and he pulls him out of the building, dragging him to the street. Pulling an ass out of the fire? Why, you old softy, Constantine comments, sitting on the street outside. Batman struggles to his feet, telling John that there is a man in the building who has the answers that he needs. I can't let him die. Your irrational need to control can wait, methinks, John tells him, pointing up. May I remind you, up in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane. The bat signal is shining from the top of the GCPD. The police have set up the barricade below, lights flashing in the dark. They duck as bullets spray from above, mixed with the endless drones of laughter. Kill them all! Kill them! And invite them! Join me! Joker cries into the night, and Batman leaps from the shadows, kicking one of the goons hard in the face, cracking his clown's mask. The other turns, opening fire with his machine gun, but Batman is quickly dodging, ducking below the line of fire, his fist finding its mark. He turns, but a baseball bat cracks against the back of his skull, and as he falls to the ground, the world goes hazy, and he hears a familiar voice taunting him. Beat the bat! Beat the bat! Beat the bat! She calls out, and Batman questions. Harley? With a baseball bat! Harley screams as she swings again, but Batman grabs the stick of wood, kicking it out, catching her in the stomach. She rushes forward. I hate you! She screams, raining blow after blow into Batman's face. He stands, backhanding her hard, and as he rears back, he pauses as he sees her tear-streaked face. Hit me again, please. Keep hitting me. I don't want to live. I can't live without him, she tells him. Harley, it's over. No, it's not! She screams, pulling out a syringe from her jacket and plunging it into Batman's neck. He falls, his world becoming blurred. Harley straddles him on the ground, unzipping her uniform. You killed him, so you need to die a little death to haunt you, she tells him. Batman's hand is launched upward, grabbing her by the throat, and he squeezes, choking her as he pulls himself to his feet. He throws her back against the bat signal, squeezing tighter and tighter until her eyes begin to bulge. Batman's eyes snap open. His arms move up, hitting the wooden top of his coffin only inches above his head. He can't move. He's trapped, when suddenly there's the sound of shifting dirt and snapping wood. A root pierces through the top of the coffin, pushing its way inside, and others begin to join it, curling around the box of death. The box begins to rumble as it's pulled through the dirt until it finally breaks the surface of the graveyard. Batman shifts from the destruction of his coffin, staring into the massive visage of Swamp Thing. You saved. He begins struggling to his feet. Your life. It's not what's at stake. Dark Knight. Forces. Both sides lay claim. Swamp Thing tells him. Mind yourself there, old chum. Seems to be a fungus among us. John Constantine tells Batman from where he stands on the mausoleum nearby, his tie wrapped around his eyes like a mask. Swamp Thing swings his massive head around until his glowing eyes stare into the face of Constantine. Knight, this man never means well, he warns. Batman agrees, snarling that he's had enough of John Constantine's help. But John lifts his trench coat, revealing the bat belt. Come on! Even after I snatched the belt Miss Quinn took from your waist, before you and she, well... He questions. Swamp Thing continues to rumble, warning Batman not to trust the man. And as they talk, none of the group notices the woman moving amongst the graves and statues of the cemetery. She touches one of the angelic statues, and the head begins to twist, and the eyes glow with evil intent. The angel leaps forward, intent on Constantine as its target, but Swamp Thing swings his massive fist, smashing the statue to pieces. As John hits the ground, the enchantress crawls out from behind another statue. My Tearless, be mine. Fool, monster, interfere, you waste, promised, mine. Another statue attacks Batman from behind, its claws slashing at his face. But Batman grabs a log of wood, smashing the statue in half, and another angel moves forward. Tearless, why do you hate life so? It asks, and Batman responds, I hate. He asks it confused, but the statue suddenly flattens as Swamp Thing's hand pounds it into the ground. No, do not listen to her. Enchantments, he rumbles, and more statues begin to attack, piling onto Swamp Thing. Batman watches as the woman runs off into the woods and he follows behind her. Who are you? He demands as he sees her dark shadows flittering from the sky. I be fate written, die cast. What does that have to do with me? Why you no remember? She asks, moving from shadow to shadow around Batman, so fast that he can't follow her. I be first kiss, I be first love, I be first blood. You be mine, I be your secret, she tells him. Batman screams for her to stop when suddenly he finds himself back in the cemetery, watching as Swamp Thing is finishing off the last of the angel statues. You hurt her feelings, John comments. Shut it, you ass! Batman spits at him, and another rumble issues from Swamp Thing's throat, as a deep laugh from the bowels of the earth. I knew there was a reason I liked you, Knight. With his aid no longer needed, Swamp Thing begins to sink back into the earth, and Batman watches the Protector of the Green disappear, before turning back to John. Constantine, I'm tired, and I need your answers now. John nods. Pitt, the one person who could supply him, is dead. Good thing the line between life and death is just a hurdle. Batman suddenly finds himself as a little boy again, walking out of the movie theater with his parents. He doesn't listen to their hushed arguments, his eyes finding the little girl in the shadows. She motions to him, whispering, and he runs off into the dark alleyway to follow her, ignoring his parents' cries. John and Batman walk into the club, moving across the room, and the lights flare with the curtains pulling back, revealing Zatanna. The three move to the back to find a table with candles lit. John, I'm not sure this is a good idea, Zatanna tells him. Well, Z, I'm certain it isn't, but it's all we have, he tells her. Zatanna begins to chant and her image becomes blurred and Batman stares, stunned as a ghostly image appears in the chair across from him. In a matter of moments, he's staring at his younger self, looking frightened. Batman suddenly slumps in his chair, strange smoke escaping his body. He suddenly turns, standing in Crime Alley. Please no. Constantine, in God's name, what have you done? John looks around, cigarette in his hand. Well, here's the bit, Batman. Neither myself nor God have anything to do with this. The two men stare, looking at the bodies of Thomas and Martha Wayne, their son sitting nearby, his body and head cradled by a strange creature with a deformed face. Bruce be mine, Constantine. Deal be made, not be broken. Tearless, for fearless. Batman kneels over his parents' body, apologizing for what he did. What can I do to change this? But the Enchantress looks at him, still holding the body of the young Bruce. You pay with tears. Deal was struck. No change. We dance, she tells him. Suddenly, the stillness of the alley is destroyed as the thunder of gunfire echoes across the walls, rounds ripping through the Enchantress's head, dropping her. Ah, go dance with yourself, you old bat, John tells her, holding the gun that killed the Waynes. Both men stare down at the body of Bruce Wayne. You may want to punch yourself, make sure, John tells him, as he lights another cigarette. Maybe you died in the alley. Maybe you're in hell, John tells him. Batman has turned away. He's stalking through the shadows of his city. Where are you headed? Constantine asks him. Where I should have gone a long time ago, before I let you lead me anywhere but here. He moves through the hallways of the city morgue, empty now in the darkness of the night. Finally, he crosses into a room, staring at the deranged homeless man in his green coat. Batman! You fought hell for your soul, and now you stand before me. In judgment, you know what you did, he tells the Dark Knight, shadows playing across his face. I know what I didn't do. Suddenly, they're back on the bridge with the Joker stabbing Batman's stomach. I didn't hold back. Batman lashes out, cracking the clown across the face, tripping over the body of the man that he just killed, falling over the edge of the bridge, and he hangs on. When that maniac fell, I reacted like I always do. Batman reaches down, pulling him up, but he pauses. I was afraid of what he'd do when I was gone. Joker slips from the rail, disappearing into the darkness below. And you must pay for your crime, the cloaked man tells him. You are judged as you judge others. Batman looks down at the body. He lifts the sheet, staring at it for a moment. I wish you were still alive. You see, because the Joker plummeted from the bridge, impacting hard on the water. Moments passed and the harbor almost became calm, but a hand broke through the surface, clutching for air. He pulled himself onto the beach, laughter echoing throughout the dark night as he pushed his hair back. a sinister grin formed on his face. I hope you guys enjoyed today's full story, and don't forget, every Monday we will bring you another full story. But you can also check back on every Friday when we give you a recap of all of the DC books that just came out, and you can also find us every Saturday giving you a recap of all the Marvel books that just came out. In between all of that, we just give you large stories of your favorite superheroes. So I hope you stick around, try this channel a little bit, and if you really do enjoy it, we'll see you next time.